Hello mga ka-scripters, welcome back to my channel. This is Jason Cappuccino of Sashes&Scripts, and we will continue in this video our Miss Universe Philippines 2024 preliminary review. So this video will focus now mainly on the evening gown competition and what our thoughts on what happened in the preliminaries on the evening gowns. So overall this year, I find that the evening gown segment was a little bit bland, and the music wasn't helping it either. The designs of majority of the gowns that I noticed are a little bit on the safe side, a little bit on the pageant padding side, and some of them I felt were a little bit outdated and not offering, really very fashion forward na silhouettes or even embellishments or even designs for the competition. However, knowing that this is a pageant na competition, I tend to be more forgiving with regards to the design, because we all know that fashion in the sense of pageantry is a little bit more of a follower rather than a avant-garde or a modern and on trend. So I think it's understandable that the gowns this year are a bit on the blingy, flashy side. However, I think that there were some standouts in terms of design, in terms of execution, in terms of fabrication and ornamentation. Okay, so my top 12 evening gown selection are based basically on performance, and I pretty much looked at how the girls carried themselves in the gowns, if they carried it with grace. I looked at their styling and their choice of evening gown design, if it was something that is new to the eye or it was something that overall complemented her, and it should be the girl being highlighted in the gown and not the other way around. I also am looking at the performance aspect of the evening gown competition. So if you put them all together, then we get a better selection of the best performers rather than relying mainly on hype or on design of the gown. So overall, we were able to select 12 girls, which we felt were the best in the evening gown competition this year. Okay, so let's now start off our list with Albai. Albai was actually a major surprise for us because her performance was safe. There was nothing in her performance that would really make her stand out in terms of execution of her turns, execution of her poses, but it was the overall vibes that we get from her, from the styling down to the choice of gown and down to, the very safe but graceful way that she, performed on stage. She actually reminded us of the late Miss Venezuela, Monica Spear, with her styling. It was very underrated, but it was very effective. I love the way that her design, that her gown was designed, because it was really complementing, her skin tone, and it also helped that she wore red lips for this segment. Then next on my list is actually Zambales. Zambales had a very over-the-top kind of gown, and it was good that she softened her facial expressions and she pulled her hair up for this segment of the competition, because it made the design work in her advantage. I don't think that any other girl who is an amateur in pageants, who is a weak pasarela, who has a weak pasarela, who pull this kind of gown. I think this gown is like over in terms of ornamentation. There was a little bit too much going on, but because Anita was a pro, she was able to pull it off spectacularly during her segment. And it also, helped that she was last on the list, so a lot of people is probably going to expect a lot more from her being the last girl to perform the evening gown competition. At number 10, we have Quezon. Looking at her gown performance, without being persuaded by the hype surrounding her, I can honestly say that she delivered well. Not a fan though of her hairstyle, because I think it would have been better had she pulled it off in a bun, maybe a low bun or even a high bun for this evening gown segment, because the design of the gown is asymmetrical. One side has a sleeve, and the ornamentation is a little bit too much. The beadwork is taking too much attention away from Atisa. I think that had she pulled her hair in a bun, it would have made more harmony with the rest of the gown and the gown design. I think this was just a choice, a wrong choice of styling, but I think in terms of performance, at least I pulled this off. Okay. Next on our list is Bakor. Victoria Velasquez Vincent had a very simple styling. She actually wore the same hairstyle for her swimsuit in her evening gown performance, which worked well because she wore a foreign amato gown. In all honesty, I think that this gown was a little bit polarizing in terms of it being a pageant gown, because it was more of a fashion gown. I think this would work better in a red carpet situation than in pageantry because the gowns, I'm not sure if we can call it wings on the chest area, was a little bit distracting. It was taking away the attention from VVV's face. And in competitions like this, in pageant competitions, you'd want that the attention is on the girl, on her face, not on her dress. Also in our list is Bulacan. She wore a yellow, I think it was a Manny Halasan gown. And I think that it was a tricky gown to wear because, in my opinion, the gown would have been better off if the rhinestones in the design was tone on tone or in the same color of the marigold yellow fabric of the gown itself. And I probably removed the necklace because it was too much. There was too much going on the chest and back area of the gown, and I think Chelsea needed to remove the necklace so that it does not make it too overbearing when you're looking at it. And I think it was the performance of Chelsea that actually saved the entire ensemble. Next on the list is Kainta. Stacy wore I think it was a grayish tone gown from Valtaguba. And in all honesty, that kind of color is quite hard to pull off in pageants because it deadens the skin tone, especially if you are a morena. I am glad, however, that Stacy is stuck with her styling from the swimsuit competition and used that same styling for the evening gown competition because it was the facial expressions that actually carried the entire performance. Hopefully, if Stacy is going to wear this gown in the finals, we want a little bit more fluidity in her movements and a little bit more grace in the transitions of her poses, so that the gown would be more effective on her. I think that would make the gown work better on her if she has, more fluid movements on stage. Next on the list is Bagio. Tara was beautiful in the evening gown competition, but her gown was difficult to pull off because of the so many cut-offs and so many revealing parts of the gown. Thankfully, she made the right decision in terms of the styling by putting her hair up and using very minimal accessories so that it does not take away attention from the face or her performance. When you have a gown that is so tricky like this, plunging neckline, cutouts on the midrib section of the gown plus slit that is as high as hers, you'd want to pare it down, to tone it down in terms of styling. And that is exactly what Tara did. And her graceful movements added to the entire performance, which made it, very fluid and very graceful when you look at it on stage. And I think because of that reason, she's able to pull off a very spectacular performance in the evening gown section. Now we're on to our top five. And on the fifth spot is Laguna. Alexander gave spice to a very bland, evening gown competition. I think that the way that she dialed down the sultriness, the diva babes, the vibes that she had on the swimsuit in her evening gown, she elevated the poise and the grace portion of the evening gown segment and put that with the very sultry vibes that she had. Was a perfect combination because she gave us a Latina contender vibes, but with a touch of Asian class. This girl surprised us in every segment of the competition because at number 4 we have Australia. This girl was on fire on Valtaguba Valtaguba red number. It has so much cutouts, it has so much skin that is bared, but she was able to pull it off simply because of her styling. She had this very lovely cascading curls that focused more on her face, that pulled away the attention from the very revealing gown to her, very perfectly styled face and hairstyle. She also had this kind of quiet but confidently beautiful way of carrying her gown that was evident in every inch of her performance. Even with the trick cutouts, hindi siya bastusin. And I think that was, in part because of how she interjected so much poise and so much control in her pasarela that even pageant experts would notice that kind of, that kind of being professional in that aspect. Then at number 3, we have Jet Hammond from Southern California. It was such a reveal when she took out her opera coat and had that very gorgeous Erin Montoya gown. This for me is the best gown in the preliminary competition, and she was the perfect vehicle, to smash the gown performance on stage. It is a statement piece with the opera coat, and her soft styling mirrors, the undulating ruffles of her coat, as well as the curvilinear beadwork and embellishments that made the gown so delectable. For me, this was her perfect choice in terms of gown, and it was entirely up to me. I take this gown up until the finals. At number 2 is Palawan. Nobody can pull off this heavily embellished gown that could be distracting if it was put on an amateur walker. It is because of Raven's really gorgeous performance. She gave face, she gave body, she gave very calculated moves to show off this gown, and she was able to overpower the gown's very over embellished nature. I think naging advantage kay Raven that she is a very good performer on stage, that she was able to carry off this very tricky gown to pull off because it has so much embellishment. There is beadwork, there is cutouts, there is plunging neckline. The silhouette is very unforgiving for someone who doesn't have a very good body, and the fringes on the gown itself made it even more dynamic in terms of movement. So when you put that together in a gown, it is a very busy gown, but Raven was able to pull it off. I think kung ibigay mo ito sa ibang tao, baka hindi kaya niyang dalhin yung gown. And I think this was specifically designed with Raven in mind. That's why she was able to pull it off. Okay, now for our number 1 spot, we have Cebu. Cebu's Chris Tiffany Hanson. What can I say? I'm a sucker for elegance, and Chris was 100% elegancia from head to toe in her evening gown performance. She gave me old world, rich girl vibes in her evening gown performance. The gown silhouette, the collar, her gorgeous, face and that graceful neck, combined with the very classy way that she carried the gown. It was for me like the evening gown perfection in the NUPH preliminary evening gown competition. I think she was hands down the most classy girl in the entire competition in their evening gowns. Okay, I think a large opera coat would have made the gown even more effective. It would have made it pop up or pop out a little bit more. But I think Chris was perfection in the evening gown competition. I think she was a perfect 10. I think that she was channeling old money, perfection and elegance. And I think that is something that other girls in the competition should try to emulate. Okay, so that's it for our evening gown review. Tell us what you thought of our selection. Comment down in the comment section below. And before we leave, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button and also hit the notification bell for more pageant related updates like this. See you in our next episode and take care. Bye everyone.